Hi, I'm Elaine Harding. Welcome to my blog at stampwithelaine.com. Today I have an inlay technique using the Sentimental Park dies for a Valentine's card for the fairer sex. Valentine cards usually shout out with larger-than-life hearts and Happy Valentine's Day plastered all over the front if you go to a shop and buy it. I wanted to make one that was a little bit more subtle, and the only hint that this could be a Valentine's card are these two little heart pearls at the bottom here. I've used an inlay technique, and that is when you die cut an image from a piece of pattern paper, and then you use a different type of paper and you glue that inside the aperture that was left behind. So you can see I cut out a stem, and then I cut out a second stem in shaded spruce and then laid it inside the die cut piece here so that the soft succulent matte layer underneath shows through. The Sentimental Park is the other bundle in the Regency Park suite, and today I'm going to be using this die to cut out my outlines, and this one to cut out the flowers here, and also this die. The other stamp set I'm using is called Love for You. This also comes in a bundle with dies to match, but I'm only using the stamp set for today. The other embellishments I'm using are the heart pearls. They come in three colours. This is the matte, glossy, and then the pearl. I'm also using the 2022 to 2024 in colour matte decorative dots. The card base is in sweet sorbet, and it's half an A4 sheet. In Europe that is 8 1/4 by 5 7/8, and in metric that's 21 centimetres by 14.5 and folded in half. I've used the papers from the Regency Park 6x6 designer series pack. This is the pack. It has 48 sheets, 4 each of 12 double-sided designs. I've chosen this pattern, and this has been cut at 2 inches by 5 3/8 inches. In metric that will be 5.5 by 13.5 centimetres, and I'm going to be using this die to die cut an aperture on here out of this sheet to create my inlay. On the back I've used the adhesive sheet to adhere to this piece of paper, so it will make it easier to use the inlay afterwards, because I didn't want to waste it, and I've put it on the inside of the card. The matte layer to go underneath the designer series paper measures 2 1/4 by 5 5/8, and in metric that will be 6 centimetres by 14 centimetres. I also put a piece of adhesive sheet on the back of shaded spruce cardstock before I die cut this stem for the inlay. This scrap of soft succulent is to create this label. I've put an adhesive sheet on the back of a scrap of sweet sorbet to die cut these open work flowers, and also a scrap of petal pink. We also need a scrap of basic white to die cut this label here, and to stamp the flowers as well and die cut that. The inks I'm using are petal pink, sweet sorbet and soft succulent, and I'm also using the soft succulent blends and a wink of Stella Pen. Lastly, we need a basic white piece for the inside of the card, and this is 3 3/4 by 5.5, and in metric that's 9.5 by 14 centimeters. Now this stamp set is a two-step stamping method. So you see you've got the linear image and then you've got the filler, and it's the same with this flower and the leaf. Being photopolymer, there is no cushion, so you need a cushion, and I'm just using the Stamparatus mat, and I'm going to stamp that in petal pink on my scrap of basic white. And remember which way you orient your stamp, so that when you come to filling it in, it won't be a problem. So rotate my stamp, and I'm going to stamp off first and then stamp on. So put the stamp over and then stamp. Bring in my cutting plates and create my sandwich. So you need your platform 1, platform 2, one of the base plates, platform 3, put in my cardstock, place my die on top of the stamped image I want to die cut, secure it with washi tape so it doesn't move, and cut a label. Place the second platform 3 on top, and I'll go and cut that off camera. Then with the same sandwich I want to die cut my other pieces, so I'm going to die cut this trio of flowers in petal pink and the open work flowers. This one has got the adhesive backing to it, and I'm missing a die. I should have picked out this one as well, this plain one. Place my top plate on top, and I'll go and cut that off camera as well. So I'm going to use the brush tip of this Take Your Pick tool. This is one of the attachments that you can get to go with it, to poke out all the little bits inside. Then I'm going to shake up my Wink of Stella, make sure that it's primed. And then just colour the open work flowers with this Wink of Stella first. Then take the soft succulent blender pen, this is the alcohol marker, and I'm just going to colour these little berry-like bits. Peel off the backing paper from the back and put it on the larger flower. Find the correct spot. And do the same with this one. Peel off the backing of the adhesive sheet. Find the correct spot. Put the petal in the palm of your hand and just use the back of the lid of your Take Your Pick tool. Make a indentation so that the flowers will curl up. Put it on the glue dot. And this one goes on the smaller flower. And this one will go on the larger one. Bring back my cushion and the label. Just make sure it's straight, and I'm just going to stamp thanks round about at the middle at the top. swap ink pads and stamp 4 underneath. Put dimensionals on the back. I'm going to put 3. Use the smaller ones in between, like so. Remove the backing. And then pop that so that it's more or less even top and bottom. So if you aim for these 2 points to be opposite each other, then you should more or less get it straight. Then I'm going to grab these tiny matted dots and stick it to the centre of the flower. Set that aside and we'll die cut the stem for the inlay. So I want to leave enough room for the flower to go up there, so we need to orient the die so it's fairly close to the bottom. I'll put some washi tape on there so it doesn't move, and I'll go and cut that off camera. So just remember that when you're die cutting this, you need to die cut it first before you adhere it to the soft succulent matte layer. Hope that out. To save time, I've already die cut one in shaded spruce, and again I did use adhesive sheet on the back. So I'm going to peel this off and attach it to the inside of the card, and this time I stamped it in sweet sorbet. So stamp the linear image first, then stamp the solid image to fill in, stamp off and line up the image. I didn't quite get it in the correct place, but it's a bit difficult to stamp with the camera in the way. I want to stamp my sentiment. So I'll still use the sweet sorbet ink, and I'm just going to stamp here. And this sentiment, for all the wonderful things that you do down here, is from the Sentimental Park. But the Happy Valentine's Day one is from the Love for You stamp set. So I'll stamp that underneath. And we can glue this to the inside of the card. Now for the front of the card, we can adhere the matte layer now. And leave an even border on the top, bottom and side. Partially peel this back so you can get it in the right position, and when you're happy with it, you can remove the rest of the layer. Oops. Now you want to peel this backing from the adhesive sheet and reinsert it into your aperture. Make sure it's aligned properly and sits inside. Snugly. And that's your inlay technique. Pop that up on dimensionals. And then just glue the label directly onto the cardstock, like so. And lastly, add the hearts. I could use the shiny pearl ones. Oh, I changed the flowers around. I had it facing the wrong direction. But there's your subtle Valentine's card. So I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial. As usual, you'll find all the links to the supplies below this video in the Show More section. You can also find me on Facebook, Pinterest or Instagram. And if you'd like to read more, then hop over to my blog at stampwithelaine.com. The link is also below. Thanks for watching. Bye.